Hello, Internet, and welcome to my live reaction for Fairy Tale 100 Years Quest, Chapter 67. When we last left our heroes, the Edolas fairy tale sent our guys into the capital to meet up with Mystagon, try to figure out what the hell was going on, how they ended up in Edolas again. While there, we met up with Hughes and Sugar Boy and Coco again. All characters I would remember a lot more of if I had seen Edolas in the past 6 or 7 years. I have not yet gotten around to rewatching Edolas yet, but I will soon, hopefully. Hopefully by next chapter I've at least started. Anyway. They then met Mystagon, and Urza Nightwalker, who is now in some kind of weird maid play at all times. It was kind of off-putting. But anyway, then they sat down with Mystagon to talk business. Mystagon told them a little bit more about the Anima Project, how they'd initially planned to take magic from another world called Elentirian. But they couldn't, I think specifically because Selene was there, the moon dragon god, who is a dimension jumper. So yeah, that's kind of where we left off last time, with the realization from our guys that there is a third world. Though we, the audience, have known that for a few chapters now. Anyway, that long introduction all being said, let's jump right on into Chapter 67, Aqua Era. And our picture here is of Mystagon with his, falcon, I think. The kind-hearted king of another world, Mystagon. And so, yeah, we open, still at the meeting table. The moon dragon god Selene? That's one of the 5 dragon gods, right? And Lucy stops him. Don't say that out loud. But Gray kind of calms her down. Well, if it's in front of people from Edolas, I guess it's fine. And Urza thinks, I never imagined we'd hear that name in this place. And Mystagon looks at them all questioningly. And Wendy explains, basically, we're in the middle of a job to chase after that dragon. Please excuse me. And Happy asks her, now you're speaking politely? Or that might be Carla. It's kind of hard to tell because in black and white, they're both drawn as white. We can only see the back of Yixid's head. But then actually Happy asks, you know about Selene, Mystagon? And Nightwalker snaps at him, that's your majesty to you. But Mystagon explains, I don't know much. Other than that it's a dragon that travels between dimensions. Nightwalker fills in. However, our records say that the Anima Project was determined to be unsuccessful if such a dragon existed. And so Lucy thinks, I guess that dragon could come to this world to regain any magic power that was taken from it, right? Which, in the end, ended up being the Anima Project's undoing, as that was exactly how it got beaten last time, in a way, by, the surviving fairy tale wizards jumping dimensions and taking back the magic power. But anyway, Scarlet asks, is this Elentirian world as rich with magic power as Earthland? Mystagon answers, that world known as the Transcendental Magic World. It's the exact opposite of Edolas. It is said that it has so much magic power that it is overflowing. Well, yeah, it's what you'd expect from a magic world. And so Lucy asks, so it has way more magic power than Earthland? But it's so normal for our world to have so much magic power. It doesn't even register when I'm told there's even more. Yeah, that's a fair point. There's, so much magic in Earthland that, overflowing magic just kind of seems really vague and abstract. Though I reckon it will be far less abstract when we eventually end up in Elentirian. But Natsu thinks... and then he's imagining his power in Edolas, with a little wimpy flame. And he might even be holding something to make the flame there, I can't quite tell. Then his normal power on Earthland. And then in Elentirian, he sees flames from all 4 limbs and his mouth. The flames have dragon heads on them. And Wendy asks, what are you imagining, Natsu-san? And then Gray just kind of notices something above him. What's that? We see a little ball of water. It might be Aqua Era, given that is the chapter title. And Lucy, Natsu, and Scarlet all look at it in shock. And it kind of forms into a ring. Lucy asks, a ring of water? And Nightwalker, elbows Mystagon to send him back. Your Majesty, stay back! Oof! And just then some light, shines forth from the ring of water, as everyone looks on. And who would appear but Toka? Toka? And Toka looks down at them, and then grabs Happy. Happy, Sama! Thank goodness you're alright! Whoa! And she, tackles Happy, and Carla just looks away. Scarlet looks shocked. Not Scarlet, Nightwalker looks shocked. And Exceed? And Mystigon asks, what was that magic just now? And Natsu stands up. So you're feeling better. That's good. But why are you here? And Gray asks, and how'd you get here? And Toka explains, I connected our worlds with Aqua Era, that magic from before. So was Toka not caught up in the Aqua Era that brought the gang to Edolas? Because she's saying here that she connected the worlds, the Aqua Era. When Team Natsu came to Edolas, it was very clearly the White Wizard who did it. I'm not sure. Although, it was rather difficult. And then Toka raises her head to address the group. Now, please allow me to explain what is happening from start to finish. Is this actually going to be like if Toka's here, and her goal, or at least the White Wizard's goal, was to bring the gang to Elentirian, and Toka has the magic that can do it, and she's mastered it, which the White Wizard hadn't, if I recall correctly. Does that mean that we're right about to leave Edolas already? Just, check in for 3 chapters, and then, alright, peace out. I don't know. Let's see. So Toka starts her explanation. I come from a world known as Elentirian. My race is called the Exceed. I don't think she realizes that we already know that part already. Which, makes sense, given that she has no knowledge that that Mystigon has kind of explained a little bit about Elentirian. But, she has to have figured that they know about Exceeds, given that Happy and Carla and Lily are all Exceeds. But anyway, Elentirian? We were just talking about that. Gray just kind of, shoots her down a little bit. Lucy asks, so there are also Exceeds in Elentirian? Yes. Although when I said I came here, it'd be more accurate to say I was brought here. I was likely taken over by the White Wizard in Elentirian. I also just learned that the White Wizard is a human from Elentirian. Which kind of goes back to the question I asked a while ago. Specifically, that the White Wizard has been stated to be active for, a century, right? She has her whole, cult. Liberos, I think they were called. And yet, she's also from a parallel dimension. And we're not entirely sure. So the question is, how long has she been in here? Because I think there was an implication when the White Wizard and Toka talked a few chapters ago that it was very, very recent. Though, like I said back then, that drew to mind during right after the first time skip, how Carla mentioned that the Exceeds would not have noticed they were gone because 7 years is nothing to an Exceed. So it could be that to an Elentirian Exceed, the century that they've been in Earthland is very little. That also brings to mind, because the backstory of Toka gets caught and then is freed by Natsu and Happy, it seemed like that was very early in her time in Earthland, which would explain how she was off guard to get captured. And yet, that would have been happening, that would have been happening 100 years into her time in Earthland. But anyway, the White Wizard used my body in Aqua Era to come to Earthland. And Toka asks, for what purpose? That I don't know. Then she flashes back to that earlier conversation I brought up, where the White Wizard said, it was all so I could save Elentirian. And Toka, stands there silently for a moment. When we woke up in Earthland, our personalities had become unstable. Sometimes I was myself, and other times I was the White Wizard. My memory was also hazy. But thanks to Wendy-sama, we were able to return to normal. Which, again, kind of brings to mind, were they in that unstable state for a century? Because, again, the White Wizard has supposedly been active in Earthland for 100 years or so, according to Jellal. So I'm curious if that's, if that was something that was brought up in the original series, I'd be okay, maybe Mashima forgot about that part and we're ignoring that going forward. But that bit of backstory, but I can basically assume that most of the White Wizard's backstory was set up at least as early as we first saw her tale. At that point, the Toka and the White Wizard are two different personalities, one of whom is an Exceed, was basically set in stone. And it's not too long before that, maybe even after we first saw Toka's tale, that the notion the White Wizard has been here for a century was first set up. So it's just really weird. It's just really weird. I don't know. It's not super important, and it's very like me to focus on very unimportant things, but that's where we are. Anyway, Toka continues her explanation. When the White Wizard woke up, she used Aqua Era in an unstable state, sending herself and all of you here. What? And then Happy is just like dozing off. I get it. Toka, The White Wizard by Wendy, and Lucy snaps at him. Hey, don't fall asleep just because the explanation is complicated. But Toka continues, I believe she actually meant to send you to Elentirian, but she failed and brought you to Edolas. And Lucy asks, why would she do that? Before she used Aqua Era. And we see the White Wizard back in that final confrontation in Earthland. If Natsu-sama and the others, if they could defeat Alderaan, then they may be able to save Elentirian. Lucy asks, save Elentirian? And Natsu just kind of gets a little angry. Hold on a minute. She didn't even ask us if we could, and she still blew it. And Scarlet responds, regardless of whether we save it, what she did was incredibly brash. And Gray looks at her, this is the White Wizard we're talking about. And Carla asks, is Elentirian in danger? No. It was the definition of peaceful when I was there. I'm assuming whatever it is has to do with Selene, though. And so Toka continues, that's why I can't understand what the White Wizard was thinking. And then Natsu just kind of grins. I don't really get it, but let's go back to Earthland for now so we can interrogate the White Wizard. Let's also take Nasha back. Natsu wants to be a dad. I've actually, that's kind of a little bit of a new thing for him. It's one thing to, fawn over his alternate daughter while he's here. And it might just be that Natsu doesn't think hard enough to figure out that he would actually have to raise this child that he is in no way emotionally prepared to raise. But he does, want to be, I guess, a dad here. That's something. And Lucy snaps at him, we're not doing that. And Gray responds, that's right. We're only going to take Grayge back. Not that either. And so Toka interrupts their little bickering. So what's concerning is that there are two problems. And Wendy asks, problems? As I said earlier, the White Wizard is also an Edolas. I can't leave her alone, and I don't even know where she is. And that gets the group's attention. Though Edolas does kind of seem like a perfect world for the White Wizard, given that she wants to, a world of no magic, is kind of what Edolas is. Though that also gave me the idea, all of a sudden. The White Wizard thinks that Elentirian is in danger. Toka doesn't see it that way. The White Wizard wants, to white out magic. Elentirian is a world overflowing with magic. And the reference that comes to mind is Golden Sun. I don't know if anyone's ever played the old Golden Sun games. But in the first game, you think that, the main villains are trying to, get rid of alchemy or unseal alchemy's latent power? I don't remember the exact details. But the world seems peaceful, and it looks like the villains are doing something that will upset it. And in the end, in the second game, you'll learn that actually the world is very slowly, crumbling to dust, and only doing what the villains were doing will save it. So maybe that's kind of the thing going on with Elentirian here. That it seems like everything is peaceful to Toka, but the White Wizard realizes that something much more dangerous is going on. Anyway, back to ending that sidetrack. Toka continues, and there's another problem that is more serious. Not even I can use magic in Edolas. In other words, I cannot use Aqua Era to bring us back to your world. Oh, she used the Aqua Era in Earthland, but now they're stuck here. Okay. How do we fix this? If there's no magic, there's no dimension hopping. Presumably Selene could still use magic to dimension jump. So maybe if Selene somehow comes to Edolas, they can use that to get to Elentirian, maybe? I'm not sure. Which causes everyone to understandably freak out. And Wendy turns to Mystagon. What about Anima? That was also created using a small amount of magic power. And when Lucy and Happy are just crying. You mean we can't go back? Ah! And Toka asks, what should we do? And I think this is Nightwalker, judging by the way her hair looks. Wait, exceed. And then Nightwalker gets right all up in Mystagon's face. Your Majesty, surely you still had one X-Ball left, did you not? And Mystagon just kind of leans away from her. It's so close. And Natsu asks, X-Ball? Oh yeah, the thing Mystagon gave us last time we came to Edolas. Correct. It's a medicine that allows humans from Earthland to use magic in Edolas. And we see a couple old panels from Edolas, and I'm reminded how old the art style looks. Even acknowledging that was Mashima and this is Ueda doing the art here, it's still Natsu just looks like early chapters of Fairy Tail there compared to late Fairy Tail. It's a very harsh shift there. And Mystagon calls to Nightwalker, Urza, come bring it to me. Roger. And she runs off. And Scarlet asks, are you sure about this, Mystagon? I get to help all of you again. Nothing would make me happier. So I guess that solves that problem. Which is, it's kind of weird. It's kind of weird to bring up this big, dramatic, problem that, there doesn't seem to be a way out for, and then, a page later, solve it. I don't know. Anyway, we'll ask Fairy Tail to help us find this white wizard. Their delivery network is spread all over the continent. So it's good that we're not quite leaving Edolas quite so fast. But then we see, both Fairy Tail and the court just kind of hanging out at the castle. And then we see some people in the woods, maybe searching for the white wizard. We see some more terrain. And then just then a guard comes in. Your Majesty, we've received word that the woman in question appears to be under Fairy Tail's custody. So that was actually, once again, very fast. I keep thinking this arc is going to get extended, and then it doesn't. This is the second time in one chapter. And Natsu, oh. And Gray, alright, let's get going. And Scarlet turns to Mystagon. Thank you for your help, Mystagon. Mystagon responds, I never imagined we'd see each other again. This has truly been a pleasure. While you seem to be going through troubling circumstances, I'm certain you will be able to overcome it. Lucy affirms, right! And Wendy, thank you so much. And Mystagon tells them, give my regards to Lily and the Master. Which is, it's a nice, due to Mystagon's absence in the plot for the latter half of the series, it's kind of, you can kind of forget that Mystagon and Lily, have this deep bond. And it's nice to be reminded of that. I remember really liking that in Edolas, and then, as both Mystagon disappeared and Lily became less and less important, it kind of stopped coming up. But anyway, Natsu smiles. Take care. And Mystagon responds, all of you as well. And then the court gang all wave goodbye. Nightwalker turns to Scarlet. Scarlet. And Urza turns back to her. Is there a version of His Majesty in your worlds? And Urza kind of freezes and blushes. Probably remembering that night on the bridge a couple of days ago. And Nightwalker smiles at her. Treasure him well. And Scarlet responds, of course. And then we see, somewhere in Edolas, Edo Wendy calls to them. Over here! Edo Wendy? Ah! And they see Edo Wendy with the White Wizard, curled in a ball right next to her. The White Wizard? And she just sits there morosely. You, and Natsu starts fuming. Without asking us, how could you? And Lucy holds him back. Natsu, calm down. And Toka goes to approach the White Wizard herself. And we see, the trees there's this very dramatic panel here of, the leaves blowing in the trees. And the White Wizard shaking. I'm sorry. I had lost my composure. And Toka asks, will you talk to us? About yourself and your purpose? The White Wizard nods. My name is Faris. I am from Elentir. I came to Earthland a few years ago with a certain purpose, which draws questions as I've been bringing up all video. The supposed century she spent on Earthland. And Urza responds, "That is strange. According to Jellal, you have been in Earthland since 100 years ago. It was around then that you formed the white magic cult." I'm glad we're bringing this up. That implies that this has been all thought out, which is very good. But Faris responds, "That was not me. The leader of the white magic cult, Rebellious, apparently went by the title of White Wizard, but seems to be missing at the moment. I took the position using my whiteout powers, and I pretended to be the White Wizard." So there's another White Wizard? And Natsu and Happy both freak out. What? You're not the White Wizard? So there's somebody else who is the real one? And Faris is kind of still sitting there. "To whiten Earthland's magical powers. To nullify it was my mission." And Toka asks, "Why did you do such a thing?" "It was all to save Elentir." And Gray counters, "You expect us to believe that?" "I understand, but this is simply the truth. Elentir will be destroyed at the hands of the moon dragon god Selene. To be continued." Which leads some questions. Like, why will Selene destroy Elentir? If she is from Elentir, or at least has lived in Elentir since the Dragon King Festival, why would she destroy it? Is it, like I brought up, somehow the overabundance of magic is causing harm to Elentir? Is it maybe that, somehow Earthland's magical powers, like specifically, her premise here is that widening Earthland's magical powers will stop Selene from destroying Elentir. And that might work if, like, since Selene is presumably from Earthland, if she widens all of Earthland, maybe that also impacts Selene, which could stop Selene. But also, she seemed to have been manipulated by Selene, if you go back to chapter 50. So, what exactly happened there? What is the play here? Also, another thing I want to bring up is the line, "It was my mission." Which implies that someone is ordering her to do this. Which might be Selene. And yet, she seems to be, Elentir will be destroyed at the hands of Selene, and she wants to save it. Also, it adds another little piece of the very large puzzle that is 100 Years Quest, in that there is another White Wizard, who is not Faris. Which does answer all the questions I had, especially because she said, though I will say, I might just be looking too much into it, but it seemed to me that Toka's story of being captured, that feels like something that happened early in their time on Earthland. They would still be kind of out of sorts, which would lead to what happened with Toka and the kidnappers. And yet we know that happened sometime within 1 to 2 years ago, during the second time skip, while Natsu and Happy were training after the war with Tartaros. Which would be anywhere between 1 to 2 years ago at this point. So maybe you could argue a few years ago would be 2, possibly. That seems a little bit of a stretch, but I mean, I guess it technically works. But yeah, we get a lot of answers about not even a lot of answers, but a lot of things are starting to become a little more clear. And hopefully next chapter, if Faris is now kind of on our side, then she'll explain everything. And help all of this weirdness with Elentir start to make sense. So yeah, I'll save any real discussion on Faris for next time, just because there's so much of mystery there. Until then, let's talk about Edolas. I'm a little disappointed that after the past 3 chapters of kind of promising a return to Edolas arc, we're just done so fast. Like, we get that little bit of we'll have to, like, search for the White Wizard, and then it's done in, like, 2 seconds. Which I guess, given Faris's mental state, she wouldn't exactly be putting up a fight. I doubt it would be terribly hard to find her right now. But it's just a little disappointing. I was excited to see Edolas again. I remember really liking that arc in the original series, and I was more than happy to spend some more time here. And I'm highly skeptical that we're going to get that now, which is a shame. But it's nice that they showed up at all. When the original series ended without any Edolas whatsoever, even like a little quick callback, see how they're doing after all this time. I was a little disappointed. But yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of running out of things to say for this chapter. The knowledge of the Faris White Wizard split clears up a lot of the questions I've had the past couple of chapters. And so it's good to see that there is, a clear plan here, from an authorial perspective. But yeah, beyond that, we get really a good bit of answers, and we're promised plenty more answers still to come. So that's kind of all I have to say for this video. Hope you all enjoyed the chapter and the video itself. If you did, feel free to drop me a like or subscribe, or, do whatever makes you happy, And remember, your life is your own, okay? Bye!